Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to talk about the game called High School Cthulhu. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, we're going to dive right in. A while back, I did a video about the game called Terra Primate and the HP Lovecraft Preparatory Academy, which is right here. And those two games were put together because I knew for a fact that a couple of role-playing games were coming out that effectively filled in those the same space. With Terra Primate, we got Planet of the Apes, and now we've got High School Cthulhu. I'd say that HP Lovecraft Preparatory Academy is a little bit of a younger age of character than this one, but in a lot of ways, they're very similar. Now, I backed High School Cthulhu. I can't even remember how. It's been a while. But I did finally get the package, and it was very interesting. This came from Italy, and they did a really good job packing it, but it looked like an old parcel from the 40s. I mean, it was kind of just this wrapped cardboard. It was not really in the shape of a box anymore, and it was super well taped. And once I got into it, there's all this bubble wrap and everything else. So they did their best to ensure that it arrived in the same condition it left. And honestly, there is no damage. It worked out great. There were some concerns. So once the product arrived in America, I got a notification that said that I owed $30 some for customs. So I had to pay that through UPS. Now it was interesting because it said it was like $37. And then when I went to actually pay it, it was only 20 something. And I guess they put a surcharge if you have the nerve to wait for the driver to show up to pay your bill. Well, I paid it in advance, so it happened. Now, I did see a report from someone on the comments of the campaign that they got tacked on a bill of an extra $400 for some kind of storage fee because, I don't know, something happened. And they were in the process of fighting that with UPS. Thankfully, that didn't happen with me, and I just got the product, and it's all fine. So basically, High School Cthulhu is a game that is set in the 1990s. Just even right here from the back of the book, it says, "You're a student. It's the 90s. You live in Innsmouth, a town with a gloomy past." Well, if you're familiar with Lovecraft, you know that. It then says, "What could possibly go wrong?" It says, "High School Cthulhu is a role-playing game drawing inspiration from the fruit of H.P. Lovecraft's disquieting genius. As if navigating adolescence wasn't enough, you'll also have to deal with blasphemous cults and cosmic horror." It's by the game company called Gear Games, and it uses the director cut as a system, which is the same as Outgunned, which I talked about before. Why this is significant is that there is no real connection between this company and that one. They just licensed the system. I looked into it to see if maybe they were at least buddies or if like one person left and got the opportunity to use it, but nope, they just licensed it. And so if you know the system for Outgunned, then you'll know the system for this. And obviously you could use this in Outgunned as a scenario and directly transfer the stuff over. The artwork in this is really cool. It's pretty much a lot like Outgunned, and they do a lot to make it kind of look like a messy yearbook. There's like sections that are taped on and stuff like that. If you can see that from there, you'll see there's like paper and stuff taped to the page, or at least so it looks. And I think they did a pretty good job of bringing in this aesthetic. Now, if you look at the beginning of the book, it does say that their idea is that they're sort of copying the feel of things like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Roswell, but also connecting it to some of the dramas like 90210 and Dawson's Creek were the two examples in the book. So this one here is the actual rule book, and it's got pretty much everything you need to play. And then it also my pledge came with this GM screen with Cthulhu on the back and a police car being trashed and a gas station over here. And then a very simple set of tables. Hardly anything there really at all, because this is not the most complicated system. So there doesn't need to be a whole shebang. It's not Rollmaster. It also came with this yearbook, which is kind of cool. Basically, it's got a whole bunch of characters in it, and it'll say, like, for instance, this is Principal Daniel Upton. His hobbies are underwater fishing. He's the principal of St. John's High School. He's a longtime scuba diver and blah, 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 a bunch of stuff. It's basically got pictures and bios of different characters. No character stats, though, which is kind of interesting. So it's just sort of a neat thing with art and some writing, and you'll see the cover's got some cool stuff on it. They also included this comic called Audrey's Diary, and it's the first spooky comic set in the High School Cthulhu universe. It's got a pretty cool little fold-out front page, and then it is full-color art throughout. Very nice. I'm not sure if this is for sale outside of the campaign. I'm guessing that they do offer it. But knowing that it comes from Italy, it could cost quite a bit to get it in the United States. Finally, as far as books are concerned, we also got this thing called Extracurricular Horrors, which is a selection of adventures. You can run them as either standalone, sort of one-shots, or you can connect them all together because they have an overarching narrative that you can get through if you'd like to do that. It is the same quality as the other one. It's really fantastic. And I should say that all of this stuff is printed very well and looks great. It is at least as good a quality as the Outgunned stuff, although there is a lot more art in these, which I appreciate because it really does bring the aesthetic of the world out, and I think it's fabulous. So I think they did a great job, and I'm really grateful that it wasn't one of those, go to Drive-Thru-RPG and get them to print it, because that's always a fiasco. And then we also got this map, and I will unfold it here to show you. It's pretty hefty. It is double-sided, and here we go. It's got numbers, and on the side there's a little legend to show you where stuff is. So that's pretty cool. And then it came with a whole bunch of cards, and I've divided them up into stacks. This one is sort of a draw to get an NPC kind of thing. Like there's an activist, there's a hoodlum, washout, worker, hero to zero, emo, metalhead, on and on. Tons of stuff. They've got their skills, traits, and attributes in here as well, which is pretty cool. No art, it's all text, but these are interesting. We then have this one, which seems to be another bunch of people, but they kind of have more background information about them and a little bit of a story arc, sort of a hook to get you into more stuff. This set of cards here is villains. And my only complaint with this is that they printed red text on a black background, so it makes it a little difficult to read. But aesthetically speaking, these are really cool. You've got these cards here. These are these are magic. So these are like crazy spells and hexes. You got the goth girl holding basically the Necronomicon from Evil Dead on the cover. And the final deck is these. These are the items that I tried to say the last ones were. So there's a whole bunch of like pieces of gear and creepy items, catalysts, trinkets, that sort of thing. So you got a lot of cards. They help sort of give you ideas and keep you going in the game. As far as the quality goes, again, the printing quality is all very good. I did flip through a lot of these cards, and I found some pretty glaring grammatical mistakes, some bad spelling errors, and mostly they come down to translation. And a few cards just weren't translated into English at all. They're in Italian. So a couple of these cards, you'd have to put them into Google Translate if you want to know exactly what they're saying, unless you can read Italian. So they did a great job, but there's a few things that, they could have triple checked. However, I'm going to stack these cards really quick and give them at least some out as to why they may have made this mistake. Because they had a lot of cards to go through. And, well, yeah, I know they got a lot of money from people to back this stuff. And maybe they shouldn't have made any mistakes at all. But I personally give them a pass because, yeah, that's a lot. This is a lot to proofread. And I don't care how many people you get to proofread stuff. Probably not going to catch it all. The ones that weren't translated, I kind of feel like those probably should have been caught. But some of the other stuff, meh, not a big deal. I knew what they were trying to say. All around, I think that High School Cthulhu is a pretty fantastic game. I think they did a really good job of capturing the aesthetics of the time and the stories that they're trying to tell. The setting itself is really cool. I think all around, you could do worse if you picked up a game, and this was one that you chose. If you like that kind of playing a teenager, fighting monsters, this is definitely a good choice. Obviously, HP Lovecraft Preparatory School was done under a totally different set of circumstances. You know, the pages in here are all black and white. The artwork is much simpler, and it's its own system, but, you know, it still has its own flair too. However, as far as something coming out and being, I don't quite want to say above and beyond better, but let's say more polished, then High School Cthulhu is definitely that. Much like Planet of the Apes was a much more polished version of the Terra Primate idea. So I'm finally getting to close the loop on that video, which I did quite a while ago. And now that this Kickstarter has arrived, or crowdfunding, wherever I got it from, I was able to do that. But anyway, what do you guys think? Does this game sound fun? Is it one that you'd like to pick up? If so, let me know in the comments. But this is Robert with Society Case Files, signing off.